Well, hello, my loves, and happy Sunday to you. We're still on our journey of finding inspiration in our books, in our magazines, and all those things, and I am just loving every minute of it. And today will be no exception, hopefully. Let's see, what do I have to tell you? No new announcements. Just keep in mind that the supplies and further pictures and links to all of the things are listed on the blog, and the link to the blog is down below in the YouTube description box. The stencils that I used today will be on sale this week, and the collage packs that I used today will be on sale this week. And I have a few freebies that will be going into the subscriber library as well. Okay, with that said, Bella Grace is, if you've been around me at all for any length of time, you know this is my favorite magazine of all time. Right now, at least in this season, but it has been that way for a very long time. And this is the newest issue, and I was, as always, when I get it, it's like this sacred time. Like I stop everything, I put everything away. It's usually in the evening. It's quiet. I just sit, curl up in a blanket, sit, and just go through every page. And then I usually end up going back through every page again. And this month's issue, this is June, July, August, so it's brand new. Golly, every single thing just always inspires me. So let me show you. So this, again, is the June, July, August of 2023 issue. And the covers, everything about it is just the quality, the feeling, the mood. But I opened it up, and this is the first page. And I have gone back to this page over and over and over again. The color, this is like a salmon sienna, like burnt sienna color, and this Payne's gray tealish color. I'm like sucked into this page. Just the beauty of it. And this is the magazine. Every page is always just, even if it doesn't necessarily pertain to me or the topics that they're talking about or whatever, it's eye candy. It's inspiration. And this says, I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. And I'm like, oh, I am going to find a project that's going to fit that. Today's not that project, because I thought about it. I've gone back and forth. But as I was reading through the magazine, I was so moved by several of the quotes that I knew what I wanted to create was from those quotes. And these colors. Oh, so I've got some highlighted, but I'll give you a skim through of this month's, like just the fonts, the photos, the feel of the pages. It's just a different, I can't quite explain it, but every single one, I dare you, just watch me spring into action. It's just, defying any doubt that I am most gloriously made. I mean, every single thing, there's tidbits of inspiration within, just people telling their stories. Look at this. So again, this kind of sienna color, I'm so inspired. Like I could totally see doing a journal page like this too. Learning to see, I mean, everything. And then I was like, ooh, I could cut that out and use it. Just every single page. So I won't go through every single page, but I want to, but like, oh, I could see that. Okay. So I first stopped on this one, this quote, and it took me a minute to kind of take it in because it made me feel uncomfortable. And it says, stop cringing at your future, at your failure, at yourself in the mirror, and stand up and look directly at who you are. I was like, ooh, yikes. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And then this one here, this quote here, I just was sucked into it. And again, it's got that sienna salmon color in this photo. And I love this woman holding the torn pages because she's talking about writing her story. Okay, so that's my inspiration. We're going to talk about that in a second. And every single page in here, seriously. So from that, I am going to be creating, this is going to be paper heavy. This is an 11 by 14 wood panel. And because we're going to be talking about story and we're writing our story, everything is writing. My background papers are writing. And these are collage packs that'll be on sale. This is handwritten without backgrounds and handwritten with backgrounds. I'm using both of those collage packs today. And then I've got some actually this is the autograph collage pack, but the little scribbles on here are like back in the day they used to do, like when somebody would come to visit you, which I think is a great idea. It might be like a guest book, but you can write something. And this was 1889. It says, many are called, just few are chosen. And it goes on to, it's just, I love it. And then I also have, let's see. Oh my goodness. So I have postcards that are blank that I'm going to be using kind of for the main focal point, I think. I also have, I didn't bring that paper over. So, or part of the back, like behind some of the focal point images. So these are all going to be background images. Well, most of them anyway. We'll see. You never know. Okay, so, and then I also have, I didn't bring this over, I have this notebook that has the greatest like ledger paper on it, so I might use some of that. And then I also have my typewriter book that I love because it's just got, some of the best text on it, measurements, practice, all those kinds of things that kind of have some meaning. So I might use some of that for the background. Then focal point, I'm planning on, so these are so much of the background, but I want writing to be part of the foreground because we're talking about story and we're writing our own story, our new story. And so I printed one of those pages of the handwriting on tissue paper because I want that to be over all of the things that are happening. So I'm going to be putting papers down, going over the paper, which I typically do, and then I'm going to bring some paper back and put it down, and so that they're more visible. And then I was going to just cut this out, but I decided I'm going to use tissue paper. This is some new floral sketches. So I'm going to have this postcard sheet and this black and white floral sheet in the subscriber library for you. And, okay, so those are my collage papers. And kind of my thoughts. So I also have out here, and all these thoughts and ideas, half of them make it into the actual piece, but you got to start somewhere, right? So collage papers down with my matte medium, and then I want to create some texture on the sides and do like a wash of acrylic ink or something like that over the top of it. So I'm going to use my Mediterranean Duo stencil, and I think I'm going to use this pattern here to create some texture in the background. I also have out here, so this is the simple patterns. So man, what's it called? Playful patterns. Oh shoot, I know it's on here somewhere. Playful patterns marks, and this is the playful patterns curves, and I'm going to use this for just my accents. These are new. If you haven't heard that, these are two new ones, and I'm going to use these in the background just a tiny bit subtly. And then these lines, I want to kind of direct the eye from the focal point down. So I'm going to use the curved lines. Then I have a couple of my other 5x8s, and this is the script, and this is just the words. And what I'm hoping to do is slightly behind my focal point is to have some writing like this, my stenciled out writing, and even my tissue paper writing, kind of watered down, kind of pushed back, but that writing is the focal point. And then my focal point of the flower sitting on top. And I don't know which flower I'm going to use yet, but I want soft writing in the background as I put my flower down. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. Maybe I'll use a couple of them. We'll see. And this too, kind of softly in the background under, some of the words and things like that. Okay. My color palette is going to be this color. So I'm going to be using Payne's Gray, probably some, this is muted turquoise. I have some muted turquoise acrylic ink, so that might find its way in to, and I have Payne's Gray acrylic ink. And then for this color here, I want to use burnt sienna and some unbleached titanium to kind of get this color. And then I also have some, let's see, light portrait pink. That might be like the highlight color in there. And this is all just background. This background color, background layers. I'm not creating anything like a field and a sky. I'm not doing any of that. That's just my color palette. And then probably some raw umber I know there'll be raw umber because this is going to be textured paper focal point, either on this side or this side, one or the other. And let's see, the supplies are relatively simple: matte medium, matte gel to put my papers down, and then my colors for my paints, my stencils, papers. Really heavy on the papers, which makes me happy. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, so that's my plan. We'll see how it goes. I love creating this way. I love coming back to papers and creating layers and layers and layers of paper. It just makes me happy. And then adding, texture. I'm going to create some texture on there with my Mediterranean stencil, and most likely I'll use super heavy gesso. I think, for sure, I'll be using super heavy gesso. Okay, that is it for that. Now, I want to go back to the quotes and just tell you the story behind what I'm doing. So when I read the first quote, it said, "Stop cringing at your future, at your failure, at yourself in the mirror, and stand up and look directly at who you are." Yikes. This quote is powerful and kind of in your face. And I was like, yikes. But as I read it over and over again, a lot of it made sense. But it was still really powerful. Stand up and look directly at who you are. Not who you should have been, but who you are right now. Let that person in. Let her be a mediocre and wrong and shameful and sad and miserable and brilliant and hilarious and all of those things as she wants to be. We're all of those things. And I'm like, mediocre? Let her be mediocre, wrong, and shameful? And I'm like, but that's a true statement. It's a very true statement. There are parts of us that there's work. There is work to be done. I know that firsthand. This week was not my best shining week as a human being. And that happens when we're stressed and we're under pressure and things are happening. That's how it is. And too often we can belittle ourselves to the point of despair. And the thing is that we're just human. We're all just human. And then it says, let her be miserable, brilliant, and hilarious. All the things that we are. We're funny and smart and brilliant and all those things. Let her be all those things. It's okay to be a human being. That's what I was saying to myself as I read this, because as soon as I read this, I was like, oh, because I had just, yelled at my husband and it just, things. And I'm like, oh, dang. And then it says, let her be what she wants to be, because she knows exactly what you need to feel good. She has planned for you. She wants to show you what comes next. She wants to take you into the future that you're dreading and say, see, you never would have imagined this. And so I read all of that, and I really kind of dissected it because that's who I am. And I thought, sometimes we don't know the plans that, like it says, she knows the plans of what we need. Sometimes we just don't know the plans. Sometimes we just don't know the way to go. Sometimes it's not so direct. Like, this is a direct quote, and part of it really spoke to me, and part of it is like, I don't know. I just don't know about that. So then, as I was going back through the magazine, let me get to that page. This quote fit. It just fit. I didn't have to dissect it. I didn't have to anything with it. It says, there are pages of my soul that are still hard for me to read. And that can mean a million things. The pages of my soul are trauma, our despair, our brokenness, our hurt, our betrayal, our shameful parts, like I've had this week, like not just saying terrible things and then having to say I'm sorry for it. All of those human parts of us. There are pages of my soul that are still hard for me to read. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm honoring my story one day at a time. And at the same time, I'm writing myself a new one. I was like, yes. Yes, please. Because we all have a part of our story, a part of our daily story. Not even just our past story, our daily story. There are things day to day that happen that we do or that we say or that we should have said. And you're like, oh, why did I do that? And then, yes, there's our past story, our past trauma and history and all of those things that make up who we are. And sometimes those things are really hard to look at. Even the day-to-day stuff is really hard to look at and realize. It's really hard, and it's humbling. And yet, we can still look at them and write a new story. Write a story that says, I will not be bitter. I will forgive. I will say, I'm sorry. I will create today. I will make myself a priority. Whatever the story is that you need to write, you get to do that. You. It's not up to anybody else. And yes, we have our past and our present stories that sometimes just are really hard to look at. But we have a choice. We have a choice to write a new story. And so today, I'm writing a new story with this piece of art. I wrote a new story this week. As I said, I'm sorry. I am so terribly sorry. We get to write a new story every single day as we need to do it. It's our choice, but you have to choose it. To not sit in the pain, and healing takes time. Let me say that. Healing takes time. And sometimes writing a new story means doing the work beforehand, seeing a therapist, getting healthy, getting that job. Whatever that story is, there's work that needs to be done. But in that process of you doing the work, you're writing a new story. So, I'm writing a new story today, and I've been writing a new story all year with my curiosity, and I love it. So, my loves, what story do you want to live today? It's your choice. You get to choose. I hope your Sunday is restful and peaceful, and I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.